I do believe that if people were sitting in the chair that I'm sitting in and see the costs that we have had as a result of COVID and the increases that are coming as a result of the Ukraine war, the uncertainty of Brexit and what that caused for our public finances, they would be doing the same thing. And look, I want to be very clear in saying that we must all be in this for future generations and to get this right for the long term, not for short-term gain. And therefore, for that reason, although we're putting some things up, but a lot less than people might have expected, I mean, we haven't been an aggressive government in raising tax. It's 2%, but only for 2 years. We have not put tax on pensions, which a lot of people were advising us to do, and a lot of people believed we were going to do. We have wanted to ring-fence pensions. We have also wanted to protect the most vulnerable. So although we've put up some electricity and water charges, I'm creating a utilities credit, which will be given to the most vulnerable, which I'm going to discuss with the unions and with Action on Poverty. And at the same time, what we're also putting up is what the government pays out. In particular, the state pension is going up at the rate of inflation. The disability benefit is going up at the rate of inflation, fixed at 8%. The minimum wage is going to go up by the rate of inflation, fixed at 8%. So it's going to go up by 60p in every hour to £8.10 an hour. And of course, most importantly, the occupational pension, which the government is responsible for paying for public sector pensioners, is also going to go up by 2%, which is what the law provides for.
Now, you say that you've had to take difficult and unpopular decisions, but that nevertheless this is not a budget of austerity, but the Cambridge Dictionary defines austerity as a difficult economic situation caused by the government reducing the amount of money it spends. So by that definition, is this not a budget of austerity?
Well, no, because the government is going to continue to spend the amount of money that it spends on the public sector. I've told the Parliament today that we expect a reduction in departmental expenditure of only £16 million. That £16 million comes from the absence of the COVID expense that we have. So we're not going to reduce the services that we have been providing until now, which was austerity means cutting those services. We're not cutting those services, we're just stripping out the COVID charge. We're going to continue to fund the public sector as it is. We're going to tax the whole of the base of taxation by a small amount, by 2% over 2 years, and we're going to increase the cost of electricity and water charges, not because of anything related to COVID, but because of the increase in the cost of fuel, which is what we are suffering, far in excess of 8%. I've shown the House today that the increased cost is in excess of 100% and 70% in respect of diesel and gas, but we're only going to pass 8% of that increased cost onto the consumer. So we're not cutting the costs that the government spends on public services, which is what would be austerity. We're continuing to provide that, and there's no pay freeze either. So if you're in the public sector, although there's no public sector pay rise this year, you will still continue to go up through the spine points that you would go up through if you're becoming more senior in your role, etc.
You're not raising public sector salaries at the rate of inflation, but you are increasing the costs of things like utilities at the rate of inflation. So people will start to feel the pinch, won't they?
So what's going to happen in the public sector is that anybody who is below parity in respect of their grade in the UK will be pushed up to parity, and that's at the lower level of public sector pay. If anybody has fallen below parity, we're going to push them up again. There may be some people who work with and for the government who are in the minimum wage. Those will also be going up. But of course, the reality is that across the world, the cost of living is such that nobody is going to be able to have pay rises that are anywhere near the increases in the rates of the cost of fuel, the interest rates rises, and the inflationary rate, which is the composite of all of that. It is impossible to do that. So we are in a situation where there is a war in Europe. We've just been through a global pandemic. What we are seeing in the context of the pinch being felt, which is the cost of living going up, salaries staying more or less the same unless you're on the minimum wage where you've seen a considerable increase, unless you're a state pensioner where you'll see a considerable increase, or if you're on the disability benefit where you'll see a considerable increase, or if you're a pensioner from the government where you'll see a 2% increase, then everybody else is going to feel that pinch. There is no alternative. Don't let anybody come on here and pretend to you that they would have been able to do it in a different way, because I know that all of the strategies have been gamed out this is the strategy that delivers the least pain, and there is no other strategy where somebody can come here, stand in front of your cameras and say, the problem is Picardo mismanaged the economy, Picardo threw lavish parties, etc., and as a result of that, he can't put up your pay as a civil servant. That would be absolutely untrue. It would be trying to pull the wool over people's eyes, and I think the people of Gibraltar are too wise and would see through that nonsense.